Morning, guys. William with Patriot Containers, bringing you cargo container industry information, what's going on, pricing, different conditions, bad companies, good companies. I think my channel, although I do sell cargo containers and I've been doing it for a long time, I think my channel is going to start evolving into certain information that goes along with cargo containers and other stuff as well. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about what to do because I enjoy talking to this camera now. Something I haven't done my whole life. Been camera shy. But I want to go over. I've been selling containers for maybe 13 years now. I always said 12, but eventually 12 will turn into 13. So it's been a while. And I used to work for bad companies that taught me a trade, but I hated working for bad companies that never did anything right for their customers, so I started my own business. And Patriot Containers has almost a perfect record of doing with what's right for the customers, and the information on the internet proves that. Been around for a long time. The topic of this video is what happened in 2020 and 2021, COVID. And this is going to pertain to containers and also United States inflation. But back when I first started selling containers, Obama was president. And I worked for other companies, and we were selling, I think, 40 footers for about $1,800. And then the price, the cost of the container could be anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500, and it goes up and down. You know, when prices go up $100, it's not that bad. But when they go up thousands of dollars or $500 or $600, people that have been shopping for quite a long time, they were quoted a lower price, and then all of a sudden they're quoted a higher price, and then they won't buy. But so when I started my business, cargo containers, like good condition 40 footers, typically cost on an average about $1,500. And so if it's $1,400 or $1,500, I could sell you a container at $1,800, make $400. Or if it's $1,500, I could sell it at $19,000 or $2,000. It just depends on how many you buy, how much work I have to put into it to get the container, and then also have it delivered to you accordingly. So at this time, I was making pretty good money, and then I got married, and then I had my first son, which was born literally right before COVID. 2020 was a good year, but what's funny is, like, the shipping lines, you have a ship that has, let's say, 3,000 containers on it, and each container has a transportation fee. So you have the container that you own or you rented, and then you have your products inside that container. But the transportation fee on the boat used to be $1,500. Now, under Obama and under Trump, everything was fine. Everything was fine. Where I saw a drastic change, so what's weird though, this is weird because I talk to the shipping lines every single day. All the different shipping lines that sell containers, and we buy from the reps that we deal with. I was talking to these guys, and man, I'm telling you, like a year and a half or 2 years, let's say a year and a half, 1 year, before COVID happened, all the shipping lines were warning me of what was going to happen. It's kind of like they already knew COVID was coming. And I'm to the point to where I understand that there's crazy people in this world that are conspiracy theorists, but a common sense thinker, lately a lot of conspiracy theories are actually true, and you have the media telling us differently because they don't want us to know the truth. So it was kind of like the shipping lines knew COVID was coming, and they knew something was happening. I actually think they knew Joe Biden was coming, and COVID was coming on Trump's last year of presidency. I think somehow China knew that, and they knew with the floodgates of America last and every other country first was coming. And that was so. If every container that's loaded on a ship used to cost $1,500 per container, 2020 during COVID, I was in Southern California. I had my first son. I was newly married, and prices were trickling up, but I was still making a lot of money, even though people were in lockdown, and I was still working and selling containers, and business was great in 2020. Where the change happened was 2021. And I have no proof of what I'm saying. I'm just going off off facts of what happened and the timing of it. And remember, everything with the shipping lines, with importation of bringing products to our country, everything, all I think it was a $1,500 transportation fee per container. The second Biden walked in to office, everything hit the fan. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing the shipping lines are making $5,000 per container, $10,000, $12,000, all the way up to $25,000 per container. Now remember, I used to buy a good condition used 40-footer for $1,500, okay? And they were everywhere. You never had a problem with inventory. I could sell you a container while I was in my car on Bluetooth, just driving down the road, because I knew what my purchase price was everywhere, and I could go on Google Maps on my phone, do the mileage, talk to you while I'm driving, and literally sell a container. I couldn't take your order, but I could sell it while I was driving in my car. 2021 happens, Biden comes in, and all of a sudden these shipping lines, whoever gave them permission to do this, and I honestly think, Joe Biden he was the president of China. I call him China Biden. But all of a sudden, everything that we import into our country has a transportation. This is the start of America's inflation. The second he walked in is when there was, every container went up to, like I said, 5, 10, 12, all the way up to like $25,000 per container. So if you're a business in this country, you import whatever you sell or the parts that you import through a container, you have to pass that on to your customers. That was the very beginning. Back in the day, I was making so much money. I didn't care about inflation. I just didn't. But what really happened though in 2021 is I saw inventory of containers across the United States go down to like 0, 1, 2, maybe 5 if I was lucky. But the price of a used container went up to $5,500. So if I sold customers, and I have a lot of repeat business because I do the job right for my customers, and I'm very dependable and loyal and honest. 90% of everybody that buys from me will call me back. But prior to 2021, I typically on an average sold a 40-foot used good condition container for about $2,000, maybe $1,800 to $2,000, sometimes $2,500, depending with what my purchase price was. But now my purchase price is $5,500, and I have to quote these at $6,000 or $6,200. I went from selling, like 100 something containers a month to like, I think 3 in 2021. Nobody wanted to pay $6,000 for a container. And I don't blame them. Imagine if you bought 10 containers from me at $2,000 each, and then now I'm quoting you $6,000. Like, you're not going to buy it. You're going to go, I don't need it that bad. And that's what I was hearing on the phone from actually repeat buyers going, oh, we don't need it that bad. We'll wait. That happened for so long. So if you guys remember seeing on the news, when we had all these ships coming into our country and being stuck in traffic jams in the harbors, the reason that happened is because they're making so much money. They're coming to our country, unloading, and then putting the containers back onto the ships empty. That's why there was no containers to sell. They're putting the shipping containers back empty onto the boats and flying back as fast as possible and coming back as fast as possible, because now they're not making $1,500 per container on the ship. They're making $25,000. So they're taking advantage of that as much as possible. It went from America first to America last. And it's kind of like the container industry. I keep warning you guys about these other companies. These other bad companies that you guys are talking to, nationwide, lifetime warranties, money back guarantees. If you don't like your container in 60 days, you can return it. Those companies put their customers last. And companies like myself put my customers first and me last. That's why all my customers are happy. So yeah, you have this traffic jam of all these container ships, and that's the start of our inflation. So at that point in time, my wife was doing our marketing, and there was no, I remember being on the phone with somebody that is saying yes, that they want to purchase, and by the time they make their payment, the containers are gone. So imagine talking to 30 people in a day, but you can only sell one container if you're lucky. So I didn't see the point, and I had so much money in my bank account. We used to put $15,000 every month into our savings account, and we did that for many, many years. But what happened though is, I was talking to all these people and just telling people what the price was, or there was no containers to sell them. And you got to understand, I only purchase quality used and quality new for my customers. I don't purchase bottom of the line junk. So if there's a junky container there, I will not sell that to you, because I don't let greed get ahead of my morals and standards. I want to provide the best service for my customers and call it a day and know that that customer is going to call me back. I don't want to get into some sales pitch here. I'm talking about inflation and what happened in 2021. So I remember talking to so many people and just not making any sale. Nobody was paying $6,000 for a container. Oh, you know what's funny though? Here's another story. Is I sold two 40-footers to somebody in Southern California. I paid $5,500 for these containers. Now, keep in mind, if I can buy a good used 40-footer for my customers at $1,500, and I know it's a good used one that looks nice, I could have purchased a crappy rust bucket piece of junk for $1,100. But I don't purchase junk for my customers. But there was a customer in Southern California. He paid $6,200 for two 40-foot high cubes, and I paid $5,500 for these things. They were the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen, and I can't believe I spent $5,500 on those containers. I wouldn't have spent $1,100 on those containers. And when that happened in 2021, there was no containers to replace it. There was just nothing you could do. And I'm not in the business of selling that junk to my customers. I'm not in the business of not being accountable. I'm not in the business of lying. I'm in the business to do the job right. And I could not believe I paid $5,500 for this rust bucket junk. And that's all there was. There was nothing left. It was supposed to be nice, and it was crap. And right then and there, I looked at my wife and I said, there's no point of marketing our business right now. We have a ton of money in the bank account. We have another child on the way. Let's just take a break and weather the storm and see how long it lasts. And, with that being said, and you go back in time, you don't know if that's going to last 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. You're hoping it ends as soon as possible. But in my again, I always make decisions I'm not God, but my gut feeling is Joe Biden allowed that to happen to our country and destroyed it from the second he walked in office. And we're still dealing with inflation problems and all this stuff. And that's why I'm a Trump supporter, is because he puts America first, and every other Democrat puts America last, and we all suffer. Anyways, I'm going to start a rant there. But so I looked at my wife and I said, hey, there's no point in marketing. There's not enough containers to sell. They're all crappy and they're all way too much. Nobody is paying this price. So I told her, I go, we have so much money in the bank. Why don't we take a break? We have another child on the way. Let's just see how long this lasts. Well, I didn't market my business, man, I don't know, till like 2022. And when the prices came down and the inventory went up, when I was watching prices coming down and inventory going up, then I started marketing. The problem with that time is you guys as customers had a lot of businesses of cargo containers that went out of business and stopped marketing. They shut down. Kind of like the refi industry in '08 and everything. All those people made a ton of money and then they went out of business, and then they're working an hourly job at some office or whatever. But same thing happened in the cargo container industry. But the two shittiest companies that I keep warning you guys about, they were selling that cheap junk and growing while I was taking a break. Now, I'm not going to sit here and take credit where like, whoa, why I was taking a break, these guys survived. But before, one company started after COVID, and then the other crappy company that sued me, they started right before COVID. But yeah, I truly believe that these companies that are in the business of selling low quality, cheap junk to you guys, those are the companies that thrive. And along the way that they've been making up as many tricks, sales pitches, sales lies. Again, nationwide, we're money back guarantees. If you don't like your container in 30, 60, 90 days, you can get a full refund. And we have a lifetime warranty on the cheapest junk we'll sell you. It's all bullshit that when you actually need it, it's not there. So back to my YouTube channel, there's only so much I can talk about these containers and give people information. I wish I made these videos 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But I really started looking into with what these horrible container companies are doing to you guys. And I wanted to do something about it. So I started bringing awareness videos that nobody in this industry is doing. All these other crappy companies, they can't sit down and talk like this, because if they did, they would be lying. And the truth is what I'm telling you about the cargo container industry and what these companies are doing with what happened to the cargo container industry. Now, that being said, back to the containers. So in 2022, I started watching container prices go down and down and down. We got, like about 6 months ago to a year ago, we got down to the original Trump prices and then Obama prices of containers, but they're starting to trickle up. Now, trickle up isn't going like this, it's just going up a little bit. And they go up and down, and that's what you want. They're not going to stay steady forever. But one thing that I noticed, though, with the container industry is any political hiccup. I'm talking about anything, whether it's this country or this container ship or tariffs or whatever. Just the thought of something that could go wrong, whether it's gonna go wrong, or maybe it's our media that's saying the world's burning with Trump, but in the long run, the America is going to do better and we're in less wars. We want to get back down to that new level of where everything's steady and free flowing. But I've watched container prices go down all the way to the original levels. So right now, I think is the best time to buy a new container. I've never seen them cheaper in 12 years than right now. Used containers could be a little bit cheaper, but they're so much cheaper than what they were in 2021. And yeah, the cargo container industry really affects our whole, what do you call it, inflation, our just everything on our daily basis of what we bring in to our country, and then also with what goes out. And there's just so many countries out there trying to take advantage of our country for so they get stuff for free while the taxpayers pay for it. And when the taxpayers pay for it, it's all this just negative role of what's happening to United States citizens, where everything goes up in price, and then we make less money, and we're supposed to do it for the humanity. And you know what? I don't believe in all that crap. You know, when you have a U.S. president, he's the president of the United States, not China, not Russia, not Ukraine. None of our business. You know, it's amazing to me how people blame Trump for all this other country. Well, he's not the president of the other country. He's president of the United States, and his job is to take care of American citizens and American land, and worry about fixing this broken country that we're in. You know, I'm 47 years old. I was born in 1978, and I remember 1980s in Southern California. It was a really good time to be alive, and I moved out of Southern California because I had children and I wanted to get them out of that woke hellhole of crime and basically the twilight zone where nothing makes sense. I went through COVID in California, and I think this sounds pathetic, but I had PTSD from being in California, where they enforced the masks. You couldn't sit at a table. You had to sit on a curb to eat your food, and it was just, none of it made sense to me. I never got that stupid COVID jab. Thank God my kids didn't get it. Thank God my wife didn't get it. None of it made sense to me at all. A lot of problems happen from that. Happen from that. And I hope someday people are held accountable for with what they did on purpose. They, let it release, and it was all manufactured and orchestrated to get Trump out of office. But that being said, so many topics there. I think my channel is going to be evolving into something else, though. I like politics a lot. And to be honest, I think before, in my 20s, I don't know if I was a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. I was just a young guy that liked to party with my friends. But when I got my first gun at like 27 years old, I realized that I had a gun to defend my family and my home, and I wasn't a criminal. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but every Democrat wanted to take my freedoms away. And so nowadays you have these lawmakers that their job is to give us laws. Well, ironically, I'm actually wearing this shirt. Mandate freedom. I want freedom makers, not lawmakers. And that's why I moved out of California. I don't even like visiting California anymore. It's funny, I was born and raised in Southern California, about 20 minutes from Malibu and all those fires. And it's supposedly the most beautiful place on earth. It's gross in California. I don't even like visiting there. It's disgusting. And even the people there, and when I was born and raised there for 43 years, and when you're there, you do not notice it up until you move. And once you move and you go visit back, you're like, wow, I don't like being here. The only good thing about California is the beach, and the weather has actually 4 equal seasons. And I have a couple family members out there, but my father still lives out there. He's stuck out there. He wants to move. Or he said if there was different circumstances, he would move out of California. So anyways, that being said, guys, this is the first video where I think my channel might be kind of evolving. I'm still going to sell containers. I'm still going to talk about the industry awareness of what these companies are doing to you guys. I'm still studying these bad companies of how they get away with their what I call criminal sales, where I literally think that these companies should be shut down. And I will not stop exposing with what these horrible companies are doing to you guys as customers. And it's just unfortunate, but nobody else is saying anything about it. And I'm taking that crown, that sword, and I'm doing it, and I enjoy it. I know I'm very repetitive in my videos, but I'm hoping in about 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, all these videos that I'm making are going to eventually make traction on the internet, and people will start finding these videos and realizing that everything that I'm telling you guys about the cargo container industry is true. There's so many options for you guys to choose from in buying a container. It doesn't have to be um, as it shouldn't be as bad as it is, but it's getting worse. Like, this whole industry is becoming a scam where everybody is trying to take advantage of you, and it shouldn't be like that. I'm My history is helping people and doing the right thing for people and sleeping good at night, knowing that I provide a real good service and all these other companies suck. So it's amazing. And I don't want to sit here and say I'm the only good company, but it is very, very hard to find a good cargo container company that actually tells the truth, does the right thing, shows up on the right day, and then refuses to sell crappy containers. And then if there is a problem, the company is accountable and fixes it. And there's right and there's wrong. And the right thing to do is what's right for the customer, and the wrong thing to do is to leave the customer hanging out to dry and saying, nope, we're not helping you. We lied to you. We're done with you. Go ahead and leave a complaint. And a lot of companies are doing that to you guys. So anyways, guys, that's it. I wanted to kind of tell a story of like why our country is in inflation, where it started, what happened with the cargo container industry. And anyways, all right, guys, have a great one. Bye.